tonight, cold open question of the week, Nooch.
Greetings, great one, UrzZz, one and only.
We are going through our second era right now with the second episode beginning. How is this new format to release marquees going for you? Is this a positive change to getting new characters? What do you think?
I had a lot of beef when it came out, which I think a lot of people did, and they made some changes, which then they failed on those changes with episode 2 to give the initial part of it or whatever. I'm still in a wait and see mode because we haven't really been through any marquees on this yet, right? Like, well, I guess we have. We went through Omega just came out, and now we've got Batcher. But I mean, it's really early on. Last year, it came out around Christmas, and the first season was no marquees, if I remember right. Right? We got it was Ahsoka, and then we had break, and now we're on to the marquees. Honestly, it doesn't feel super duper different for me. I'm going to be really curious to see the pace and the I can't think of the word, but the pace of character release. Like, are they going to do 25 new characters? I think they're probably going to do more like 20 to 21, which is what we had last year, if I believe I've done my math right. And so to me, that doesn't feel that different, except maybe they've got a more steady, regulated pace to it. And so I guess I'm still kind of in wait and see mode. We're only in the middle of season 2 right now, so there's still some time.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm sort of looking at what I really want to look at is we have Omega's kit, which was mildly complicated. I would say a little bit complicated. It was pretty wordy. But then you had Batcher's kit, and we're going to talk about Batcher's kit fully tonight. But it looked a lot skimpier and just like straightforward, and so I wonder if this pacing of characters is going to sort of force them to really simplify things, and we're probably going to get 4 average characters and then one just banger that sort of just like is the leader of the team and sort of the prescriptive team element. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but we'll get to it. All right, we've got a lot to discuss here. We're going to look at Batcher's kit tonight. We have the latest data mine. We have the Naboo raid. Spoiler, it's easy now. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Do your part and hit that like button, and let's start the show.
Ignite your passion and embrace the glow of the Holotables.
This is it.
Broadcasting live just beyond the Dune Sea, we join the heartthrob of the Outer Rim, UrzZz.
Hello, what have we here?
Welcome to Love on the Holotables, an absolutely unremarkable yet ridiculous Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast.
It's a trap.
It's time to lock those S-foils in a chill position and head on down to the big Holotable for all the latest action.
This is Red 5, I'm going in.
Well, hooty hoo, and a big hello from me to you. My name is UrzZz, and I'd like to welcome you all back to Love on the Holotables. Today, we're joined by a very special guest. He's a dad who loves Star Wars and the Holotables, a man who is known for his brutally honest roster reviews. It is the one, the only Nooch Too Good. Nooch, how are you?
I'm doing good. I get in trouble sometimes with those roster reviews. Some people get really personal about it, and it's like, I don't know. If you don't want to know that your mods suck, then work on your mods. It's not my problem.
Now, I have tuned into your streams from time to time, and you have this giant spreadsheet. I'm like, I don't even have the mental fortitude to understand what is happening with that spreadsheet. What is this?
So here's what was going on. So I was doing all these roster reviews. I mean, I was doing 100 roster reviews a month and paid, free, whatever, all mixed together. And I would review the mods on the roster because to me, the mods are the most important thing. And the thing that's most often missing from an account it is people farming their mods. And and I think you've probably learned, and I've learned, if you have better mods than the other player, you don't have to have as good of a roster. You can punch up big time with good mods. So I would go in there and I'd review like 4 or 5 characters mods, see what's going on. And then somewhere, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, I'm like, why don't I just use this mod score and see what's going on? But then I also realized that it's like, yeah, but a mod score is just a number. What does it really mean?
Right.
And so what I started putting together was, and it's pretty simple. I'm not an Excel like expert or anything, but it's just a table that says, here's your galactic power. Here's your mod score. How do you match up with the people that are at your galactic power? And so, and then we have like an average line going through for the top 110, an average line going through for the overall mod score. We look at the top 110 more than anything else, just easier to look at that, because it's a higher score. But the idea is if you're at 4 million galactic power, an average mod score might be 3. And if you're sitting at 2.0, then you need to work on your mods. But if you're above that 4, then you're above average. And the above average people really stick out. So that was the goal, was just to kind of say, let's take something that exists, which is the Omega mod score, and let's put it into a kind of a peer comparison type of thing.
Right.
And it's been really useful for a lot of people to really understand where they sit with their mods.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Roster reviews have been around forever, since I was streaming in the game years ago, and roster reviews is what you always do when GAC's off or when there's not a lot going on in the game. But you've sort of evolved that, and that's pretty awesome, man. So sweet up on that, and excited. Now, what's your take on Datacrons sort of overriding mods? Because now it really is like Datacrons like sort of are the if you have good Datacrons, mods don't matter as much. Do you believe that, or do you still believe mods are meta?
I think it's both, but I get what you're saying. I think that and this is part of what's built our channel and our community here. I think that when we look at Datacrons mattering more than mods, you're looking at Kyber 1 and 2. And so for those people, they've all got similar or same mods, or, somewhere in the same range. Like some people have giant mods, whatever, but you've all got decent mods on the teams that you're using.
Yeah.
So in that case, if you have better Datacrons or bigger Datacrons or more Datacrons, it's going to set you apart. But in a world where 90% of the population is, Kyber 4 and under, I'm not going to say Datacrons don't matter in there, but they're less of an impact the farther down you go. And what I mean by that is, like, your mods can still carry you over some of the better Datacrons if they have worse mods, and vice versa. So it really that's what I kind of think, and that's where I kind of my content has really been geared toward beginners, early game, mid game, even into the late game, because I think there was this big focus for most of the content creation out there that was on the end game. And especially like when AP Games ducked out on us, because it was kind of his thing to really focus on that early game too, that there was kind of a vacuum there. So for me, when I look at it, I think, yeah, if you've got a great roster, you should be farming both Datacrons and mods. But I think you're getting the conversation where Datacrons are really skewing the performance of your team. That doesn't happen, in a major ways until you get up to those higher Kyber levels. Am I making sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I'm starting to see that, I sit around in Chromium right now, between like Chromium 3, Chromium 1, somewhere in there, as I'm sort of climbing back up and getting my roster ready to go. And I definitely noticed the Datacrons pack way more of a punch down here. Yeah, so I imagine once you start seeing some sort of like Datacrons and like style mods, it can be a bit blended.
I absolutely agree with that. If you're anywhere below Kyber and you have farmed Datacrons, you're going to be punching up 2, 3, or 4 levels in Grand Arena. They're that impactful if you've really put some effort into it. And it doesn't seem that difficult to me, really. It's sitting there in Conquest. I don't ever pay any money for Datacrons, and I don't ever buy them in the shop either. I get it all from Conquest, and I'm able to farm, 7 or 8 max Datacrons every season, and then another, 10 or so that are anywhere between 3 and 6, level 3 and level 6. So you can farm them. And yeah, if you're in those lower levels, anything below Kyber, it can really pack a wallop. I do agree with that 100%. All
right. One last question before we get into the news here. The name Nooch, Too Good, and then the Star Wars Dad. What does Nooch Too Good mean? What is that a reference to?
Okay, so my best friend and I, still to this day call each other Nooch. And my brother calls me Nooch too, but it comes from Return of the Jedi. It is not from Jay and Silent Bob. It comes from Return of the Jedi when 3PO is talking to the Ewoks.
Yep.
And part of the story, he refers to Nooch Vader.
Nooch Vader.
Right. So I'll play that clip on my stream every night. When somebody asks, I'll just pull it and play it. So basically, we called each other Nooch, and we'd use our first names along with that, all the way from, I don't know, probably 5th grade, 6th grade on, because we picked up on that Nooch, and it either means Lord or Darth. We don't know. Probably means Lord, but so we've been calling each other Nooch ever since then. So Nooch comes from there. And then some of my early viewers or guys who were contributing when I first started the channel, we didn't have a lot going on. One of them came up with the Nooch Too Good idea.
Yep.
And it's kind of like a get good thing into Nooch Too Good. So he made that up, and I had the graphic made. And then Star Wars Dad just came along later. It was just I'm kind of an age where I tend to be old enough to be most people's dads who are playing this game.
You
and
and me both, brother. Yeah.
the other part of it is I find that a lot of people that tried the game when they were teenagers are now back playing again because they've got kids, they got a job, and they can't play they don't have 4 hours a night to play console games.
Yeah.
But they do have 30 minutes a day to sit on the toilet, and we call it a toilet game where they can play their game when they so a lot of those guys are dads now, and ladies are moms, and it's not that many. 2% on my channel, 2.5%. But so Star Wars Dad came kind of naturally. The channel was actually called Star Wars Dad for a while, but I went back to Nooch Too Good just to free me up to cover, non-Star Wars stuff if and when the opportunity would arise, which Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle Earth I thought would be, and then it wasn't. So
yeah. Okay. Well, a good history lesson there, and I've always wondered. Now I know. So let's jump into the news here. We've got a shard shuffle happening. Huang shards are farmable on light side 3F. Did you end up getting Glat? Where are you at with all that?
So last year, I actually underwent a project from. These are all long stories. So let me.
This is what it's for.
September 2023, I started an account to spend money where I was just paying enough money to keep my crystals refreshed every day and see how that did for me for a year. And after a year, I'd spent $1,200 or $1,000, something like that. And we were doing pretty well. We had Executor moving on to Leia Organa. And then a year into the account, I said, let's do something different. Let's spend $100 a week on Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. So I spent 12 months in the game. I spent $5,200.
Holy shit.
And I unlocked, and like a month after I started that, boom, Lightspeed bundles. So it was like, well, there's, it just coalesced. And so I built up 5 Galactic Legends. It's at 6 now. And I got the Gungans and I got the Poncho Bros and all that stuff. So at the end of last year, I was committed to getting Ahsoka because I had committed to my channel to get Ahsoka back in August when she was announced, or July. I don't know.
Yeah.
She was announced so early, and then it took so long. And I'm like, well, I've committed to it. So I finished that off in December, and I am enjoying a little bit of break from my pocketbook. I'm not investing in these new Bad Batch at the moment. I'm just kind of stepping back and pulling back a little because that was a giant wallet hit last year. So yes, I do have Galactic Legend Ahsoka Tano on the roster. So all that stuff is farmed for me, but this year will be a little bit different year.
Well, it just goes to show you. So I am at 3 Galactic Legends,
Okay.
Vader, JML, and SLKR. And I'm close to C, and I'm a little bit further out on Jabba. But, I'm close, and I've spent probably $14,000 since launch. So you accomplishing, what, 5,200?
Yes.
In a year, that speaks volumes to how much cheaper the game has gotten, I would say.
It is a completely different game than it was. Than it was from 2016, 2015, right? Whenever, 2016.
Yeah, well, it ended 15, 16. Yeah.
Let's say until October of last year, until October 2023, when Lightspeed bundles came out. The Lightspeed bundles kind of turned everything on its head. Absolutely. And so a lot of people like you who left the game have returned to it. Everybody's got their reasons. And I want to talk to you about that when we go over to my channel later, but that's a discussion. But yeah, for sure, the game is much more affordable now. I've always thought they did a good job of balancing the game where you're playing people at your level instead of having to. It didn't used to be that way. You know this.
I remember.
It was Squad Arena. And if you weren't performing in Squad Arena, you weren't performing. And I think that when the Revan meta rolled out and they rolled out Darth Revan and a month later was Darth Malak, I think that they took a big hit with that. And they spent the next year plus retooling the game and thinking about what the future looked like. And eventually it's led to Lightspeed bundles where we are now. But yeah, the game is much more affordable, I guess, than it has been in the past. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, just coming back to it, I can tell you I spent $9 on the First Order bundle. And man, I got an entire faction. I think I only had red, Relic 7 when I left. Entire faction, $10. It was just this is insane. At Relic 5. Just crazy. Yeah.
Well, it's all of it is. And, somebody did the math. If you buy all the Lightspeed bundles, it's $700. And it's and that's good for 1, 2, 3, 4 automatic Galactic Legends and also some indirect stuff. You get gas, so indirect stuff for Jedi Master Kenobi and Lord Vader and Jabba. So 5 Galactic. Yeah. So it's just crazy what the value is in the game. And it makes me wonder if anything big is coming in the next year. I've been waiting for something giant to drop, like Gear 14 or level 100 or something like that. So we'll see what happens.
Well, MSF, I know, just did a new level increase, I think. So they just did a big thing. So maybe we're not far off. I mean, it seems like eventually you're going to have everybody kind of in that Relic 7 territory. And like Relic 7 is going to start feeling like the new Gear 12, like when Gear 12 was around. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right, let's continue on here with the data mine. There was a data mine that happened. It looks like we got a February calendar with STAP. The mystery chest is energy, and the mystery chest on PC is Omegas. So nothing too juicy there, but STAP, I don't have many shards of that guy, so that'll be kind of nice. Where do you use STAP? Is he just Naboo raid right now?
No, if you put on a Grievous team in Grand Arena, you're going to improve that Grievous team's performance by about 20%. I looked at it last week, which isn't super exciting because Grievous is not he's no longer, it's been a while since he's been, actually, ever since Wampa came out, Grievous is just kind of a side farm. But
he's Wampa food, man, for me and GSC.
Right. If you put STAP on that team on defense, it becomes less Wampa food. Goes from like 90 down to 70%, which still isn't exciting.
Right.
But it also does some more on offense too. So STAP he was a lifter for Grievous. Kind of came out, we had Zori lifted the Finn team, and you had Captain Rex who just turned the Phoenix from nothing into world beaters, and then STAP was down the road from that. So STAP was kind of at the end of that lifter period we went through the game, but he was probably the least of the lifters. But he does lift that team up. He does lift it up, just not super exciting wise. Yeah, I think raid is the main place.
Okay. And speaking of raid, there was a bunch of Naboo rated adjustments that went in. We hit our first one yesterday with the new adjustments, or was it yesterday, maybe the day before, with the new adjustments, and I was able to send all, I have 3 kind of teams I run in that raid, and I was able to auto all 3 of my teams, and that felt pretty amazing. Now, where are you at with it?
Here's my story on raids. So you and I both played the game back when raids were, everybody get on Discord. We're gonna work on this together. Let's get through tier 1, tier 2, right? I mean, we did all that until we built these solo teams and then went through it on their own. There was no more Night Sister Anakin cheese. That went away after a while. Yep. But raids now, ever since the Crate Dragon, I just got to say, it's not exciting content for me.
Yep.
And that's not a complaint. I don't think everything in the game should be exciting, or then it turns into me playing a console game for 4 hours a day every day. But I truly am a guy that when the Crate Dragon raid came out, I played it for a while, and then it got to a point where I was like, I'm just autoing, and I'm going to move on. And when the Endor raid came out, I don't think I rarely touched that one. And the same thing with this raid. I put my teams in, and I auto them, and if it turns out really bad, I'll just reboot it and do it again, which I think is a good feature. Mm-hmm. But I've been autoing that raid since it came out. So for me, I know that they changed it, and it's easier now, but it hasn't been a big impact on me. And I play in a guild that's competitive, but not directive and not micromanaging.
Yeah.
So we compete at a high level. We're almost 500 million galactic power. We're getting 31 stars over in Rote, and we're doing a good job. We win most of our TWs, but they're not going to say you have to get the score on the raid or we're going to boot you. We're not doing that kind of stuff. So I just auto the raids, and I have just as much fun doing it. I probably lose a little bit of rewards, but it seems incremental to me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good approach to it, I think, because I came back to the game and I had to, I sort of committed myself to learning the Naboo raid and sort of the mechanics going on there. And eventually I just got to the point probably a month ago where I'm like, I am done with this.
Yeah.
And then it's like really frustrating because you put like 10 minutes in and then you get wiped, and then you're just like, are you come on, I don't want to have to do this 4 more times. So you just get to that point. So totally understand where you're coming from. I don't really think it's engaging content. For me, the engaging content in this game is GAC and TW. So yeah, that's sort of where I come out.
Yeah, I agree. And were you here for the Endor raid at all?
I watched it. It was nauseating. I didn't ever play it though.
Endor raid to me was just a straight auto, and it was easier than this raid. You could put 5-star characters out there and get 200,000 points or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that kind of started it for me. It's like I don't have time for this. It's, like you said, 10 minutes in and you get wiped out. And I'm like, I can do this again.
Well,
nah, I'm good.
What's crazy is you think your tolerance has changed, because I remember the Rancor raid and T-bowing and Qui-Gon Jinn and reducing turn meter, and I would obsess about that.
Yeah.
That just goes to show you, like, man, this game's gotten a lot better because there's so much better things to obsess about.
I think that it also mattered at the time that you were contributing to the guild's efforts on the raid, and not just, I know that your score contributes to the guild's score, but the brackets are so wide that you're not going to make that much of a difference in the guild's score by what you do, generally speaking. But it used to be that if you didn't do that raid and do your best at it, then the guild was going to suffer as a result.
Yeah.
And I also think, like you said, we didn't have Grand Arena at the time. I don't know if we even had a TW back when that first came out. So and we didn't have Conquest for sure. That wasn't a thing. So as more game modes come out and they absorb more time, I do think that contributes to it. That contributes to it for me as well.
I mean, you're going to get a meta character out of Conquest. You're not going to get you're going to get currency out of a raid. So there's a bit of different motivations there for sure. All right, Nooch, let's jump into the kit here. I don't know if you want to pull the kit up and let's just sort of read through it together. Fortunately, me and Nooch are blessed with a simpler kit. It is Batcher. We got a light side, Bad Batch, Batcher. Is it Batcher or Beecher? I don't know. I didn't watch season 3 quite yet. Batcher.
Yeah, if people say Beecher, I think I don't know where they live, but not here.
And it's a she, to be clear. So we have our second she creature, which Wampa was the first, and now this is our second she. All right, we got a basic here. Crushing Assault. Deal physical damage to target enemy. Engage speed up for 1 turn. During Batcher's turn, if the enemy was marked, inflict defense down and 2 stacks of off balance for 1 turn. It's a basic. What are your thoughts here?
You want to know my thoughts?
Yes.
Thank God this thing is only about 25 words.
Yes.
I don't even know what to say. My channel knows this. If they watch me, we have tried to sit down and read these kits. I cannot do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll pull open the kit. I'll get about a third of the way through it. I'm like, guys, I can't do this. I mean, I have like a real life job I work where I have to critically think about stuff in depth. I mean, I want to play the game and I want to know how the characters work. I cannot read these kits that are War and Peace. And, if you have defense down, then I inflict, this on you. And if you inflict that, it reduces 2 stacks of this. And then your offense goes up by 4.7%. And then all your allies, maybe, it's like, I just can't, it's like, just give me the toy. I'll play with it. I'll figure out how it works. Within a couple times of playing with it, and I'll move on.
I just got to say amen to this. Let this man preach. Let this man cook. Because I try and read the kits, and I about was broken by Balin. I was like, what is happening with this kit? Like, why is it this wordy? Why is it this complicated? Surely it would just be easier to say the damage is like 400% just so we can beat stuff. Like, I don't know. And it's like, we read the Ray Darkside kit, and it's like, well, at the end of this 5, paragraph statement, she gets, damage immunity for 4 turns. It's like, why are they adding that? Who knows?
In all of it is, I think that, I don't know where the turning point was. I feel like it was.
I felt it was Ren. JKR.
I think that's the turning point for the entire game, by the way, the Revan meta. But for somehow these kits became very team specific. We left the idea that you could have CLS out there with Nihilus and General Kenobi, and that got left in the dust. Mm-hmm. And we built full teams, which isn't such a bad thing. If you're playing with Commander Luke Skywalker, it's better to see him out there with Chewie and Han. That makes more sense, right?
Right.
But now they make these kits so that they only function with a specific team and only in a certain way, and they make it to counter certain characters in certain game modes and not in other game modes. And all of that comes together and coalesces and turns into this big giant mosh of words. It's like it's giant word salad. And so I find this Batcher kit. I mean, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times 3 lines, about 30 words in there. This is so refreshing to me.
Yep.
And it doesn't even, I just like this. I like this so much. And I wish we could see more kits like this where it's just, can we just chill out? Can we just chill out just a little bit?
This is what I'm talking about. This man knows exactly what's up. It's so, I looked at this, I'm like, wait, that's it? Like, this feels like a really good kit from like 2019. That's what it feels like. And it's not overwhelming. And to your point, like, you're just going to play with it anyway. Like, I've probably read SLKR's kit I don't know, 10 times. Do I remember anything? I'm like, no. The event taught me what I need to know, like siphon the stun guy, like, how to the kid, playing with the game taught me everything I need to know. It's like, I don't know how much I'm really learning by trying to read these overcomplicated kids. So this is quite refreshing. I have to agree.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, if you look at SOKR and Ray's kits, they're not all that complex,
even
compared
like
to what we get now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then you look at like someone like Balin, where I'm reading that novel, and I'm like, how can anything beat this? How can this is insane? And then he's just pretty good, he's fine. Balin's good. He's not like world beaten.
We'll see how he is without the Balin crown when that's
right.
expired.
I'm already worried. I'm already worried because he's a heavy hitter for me. So
yeah, we'll find out because Darth Bane we thought was going to be no good without his crown, and he still does all the exact same stuff. So we'll find out. It could be that Balin's the same. Maybe it ends up being the guy you kill Padme with, or Queen Amidala. I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay. Well, let's just continue on. We don't have to spend too much time talking about the kit. We've got a special 2, Ferocious Bite. It's an Ami cooldown 3. Deal physical damage to target enemy, inflict pin for 2 turns and 2 stacks of bleed. Max 6 until the end of the encounter. We don't know what any of that's going to do. Pinned and bleeds have been around, hasn't it?
I don't think bleed has been around.
It was in the Reek. Wasn't it in the one of the raid, like the GOTV? I think it was one of the buffs from that, if I remember correctly. I may be totally wrong. It was either Reek or Acklay that did bleed, I think. And bleed, while you're looking that up, is negative 5% speed and tenacity and loses 5% health each turn. Remove 1 stack of health is recovered when any health is recovered. So, yeah.
I can't find anything specific. I mean, it's clearly going to be it's clearly going to be like a damage over time. Lots of games have bleed. That's a pretty common.
Yeah.
So maybe it could have been on the Rake. I can't find it. I don't think you would find it though if it's on the Rake. So I'm not going to Google this for 20 minutes or anything.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
And then he has a TW Ami, inflict an additional stack of bleed, max 6 until the end of the encounter, which can't be dispelled if another Bad Batch ally is inflicted with captive. The cooldown of the ability is refreshed. Okay. Did you watch season 3? I'm just curious.
So I have never been able to sit down and watch through all the cartoons. Or animated series. Excuse me. Sorry.
Cartoons. This man's
so,
old. This man
I used to watch
Saturday morning cartoons. I guarantee you.
Looney Tunes, dude. I watched Looney Tunes every day of the week. I was watching Looney Tunes. I have them all memorized. I have seen a lot of the impactful episodes of Clone Wars, including the last 4 episodes that are just awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of episodes I watch of Clone Wars. I'm just like, I don't want to. This is not, I'm like, no, I'm good. And that's not taking away from anybody that loves it. That's great. I tried to watch Bad Batch, and I got a similar feeling about 3 or 4 episodes in the first season. I'm like, it's good, but it's not like driving me to watch it. So, and part of that could just be the amount of time I've got available. We're working 2 jobs basically, and then the rest goes to the family. So that could have something to play in there as well.
Yeah, totally get it. All right, let's finish up this kit here, and then we'll get to some fun stuff. We've got the unique LH201. It's a Zeta on this one, so it's really just one Ami here for TW. Okay.
So awesome.
Batcher's damage can't be evaded. She ignores stealth and taunt during her turn. When another Bad Batch ally is inflicted with captive, Batcher has 50% offense, 50% or 50 speed, and Piercing Howl's cooldown is reduced by 1. Batcher assists herself whenever she uses a special.
That's the first character that's ever resisted stealth, I think.
That's interesting. Wow. I wonder if there's a lore piece to that, or I don't know. That's kind of cool design. She assists herself. Did we see that ever? Assisting yourself? I can't.
It's weird. Why did you say she attacks again?
Yeah, right.
See, that's the weird stuff that they got to build in here now.
Yeah.
They say it's like, so there's something that assist herself does instead of attacks again that we're not really gonna understand. I'm sure something figured out, but yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like specific wording for some weird niche case where they have to prevent it. Oh, that's silly. It's a 9-year-old mobile game, and it's certainly doing its thing.
The kid is a breath of fresh air, man.
Yeah, it is. And I'm glad we spent about 5 to 10 minutes on that, and we are out, so that is great stuff. All right, let's turn the page here in Conquest. We are in the final week of the new meta about to take place, I would say. That's my speculation, anyway. Are you excited for Darkside Ray? What's your read on this?
100%. And here's my read on it is Kylo has maintained his viability all the way through.
Yep.
There are some teams he can't beat, but he can beat most teams still. You know, he could take out Jabba, he could take out Leia in the right situation. You know, Kylo is really, really good in this game. And you throw a lifter in there, and a lifter that looks like Rey does, and you know we've seen the footage of just him and Rey 2Ving, you know, other galactic legends.
Yep.
If she really does that and really performs that way, yeah, I mean, and plus then that might give you a whole nother real secondary first order team. Maybe if a Kylo out there, KRU, I mean,
yep.
You know, with the other guys, you know, so because we haven't had that Phasma, I guess, but with first order tie, that's just a horrible Omicron. But
yeah,
maybe that stuff works better with under a KRU leave. So I'm really excited to try it out. I'm gonna have her unlocked. I'll be ready on day 1, and I'm super geeked about it, actually. Kylo's still my favorite character of the game. I love the guy.
Yeah,
I think he's a great character.
Everybody I've talked to that I've had on the show here has said that Kylo is just a hoot and a half. So I am 3 out of my 12 on his ultimate right now.
Okay.
He's relic 8 and ready to go, and he's missing like the 1 Zeta where he can't gain taunt and can't be like staggered or something. I'm just holding my Zetas right now because I'm just waiting for Rey, and I'll end up coming around and get that later on. But yeah, I'm gonna get her day 1. This is my first, you know, since coming back to the game. This is the first time I've rated all 3. So it feels like a big event for me. It feels like a huge event to be getting this new toy, and like, man, this is really gonna be awesome. So, and I think I'm with you, man. It's just like when we were reading her kit, and you know, who knows, right? But it sounds like it's going to be incredible. Like every one of those Amis seems Grand Arena specific, which I love Grand Arena. And it seems like it's going to just be the magnitude of each one of those. It's just like, well, you got to have all 3 of them. They're all excellent. So, yeah.
And we'll find out. Maybe we get surprised. Everybody thought Darth Bane was going to go with Sith Eternal.
Yep.
And he turned into his own little thing. Maybe Rey makes a whole secondary first. I don't know. We're going to find out. It's going to be fun to play with her.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, those little like mistakes, or not even mistakes, those little just change of plans when everything thinks it's going to be this one thing and it ends up doing something totally different. I love that. I love that. Yeah. The game is humming for me when that sort of stuff happens. So, anything else before I have to share something that I totally screwed up last night? Don't SWGOH at 1 o'clock in the morning, everybody, when you can't sleep. I was doing my conquest last night, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm only like 38 shards away from unlocking Ezra. So I started using all my like conquest currency to buy Ezra shards. And I was like, wait a second. I think I'm getting Ezra in the red crate. And yeah, sure enough, I wasted about 18 shards of currency there. Oh, it was painful.
You know what? You're going to be okay, man. It's going to be all right.
I just couldn't. I was shaking, man. I couldn't go to bed. I was like, how did this happen? Anyways. All right. Well, that's Conquest. GAC 5's coming back. Are you a 3 or 5s, man? What do you prefer?
I like them both. I don't have a preference. For me, the fun is getting on and playing with my community. We have a good time playing, and now and then I get really mad and I get pissy the whole time. And that's some people really don't like that at all, but I think most people really enjoy that. But I enjoy getting on there, playing with everybody, learning new stuff, trying some weird counters, and then doing some roster reviews after. So I like them both. I just enjoy playing.
All right. Love it. Yeah, that's how I am too. Win or lose for me, it's just putting on a good show. That's all that matters.
You can't. It's not built for winning and losing anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. Like, you know, back when it first came out, were you playing when it first came out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a January 2016. So.
Okay. So there you go. It's like, okay. So for Grand Arena for 2 years, 2 years-ish, I don't know, was we throw all the people with the same galactic power to pool, and you fight it out, and whoever wins is the Kyber champion, right?
Yeah.
And when they changed all that, now it's more like You get thrown in a pool, and you might have 0 Galactic Legends, and they might have 5 Galactic Legends. And if they play, you lose.
Yeah.
And if they don't, you win 10-0. And it's a different game mode now than it used to be, especially before you get to the Chromium. You're experiencing that in Chromium.
Yeah.
You're hitting rosters that are twice the size of yours.
Yep.
So it's just a different world right now. So I have really, really learned that I'm just not going to get wound up about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play it, and I want to compete, and I want to compete well, and I want to punch up. My account now is called Nooch 2 Punch Up because that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I can't really control the results most of the time because the results are almost set in stone before it happens that their roster is bigger than mine. I'm starting to level it out a little bit, though, so we'll see. But yeah, I just don't think it's a game mode that's all about gotta win anymore. It's, it's more like have fun.
I tell my community, I'm like, well, a win for, when I know we're outclassed, and I'm like, well, we have 3 GLs to 6. I'm like,
yep.
A win for us tonight, guys, is to put on a good show, and that's number 1. And then if clear the board, regardless of how we have to do it, if we can even clear the board, that's a win for us. So I sort of set the ground rules immediately whenever we get in situations like that. Because a lot of people, I used to take it very seriously back when I was, really cared about the game early on. And now it's just like, there's no point because it's just not that type of game anymore.
It's not. It's unfortunate. And it's the biggest complaint that I think I have and a lot of people have is there's no real PvP mode in this game that is built for testing out your skills in your roster. It's just not in the game. Grand Arena is kind of there, but it's also not there.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say something else and it left me, so it must have been important. That's what my mom used to say. That must have been really important. Anyway, Anyway, I mean, Grand Arena, it's fun. I have a blast playing it. I know I was gonna say, for me, I put out a stiff defense, and I'll make them beat my defense, and then I don't clear a lot of people. Where usually it's just kind of a big bloodbath on the field. And if I can walk away with more banners, I do. Let me spend some time doing roster reviews after Grand Arena is over. So,
Well, that's going to take us. What a great segue. This man's a pro. That's going to take us into our next segment here, Community Mailbag. And this question comes in from Running Baldman. RBM asks, Dear Nooch, when doing roster reviews, what is the most common thing that people need to work on? And also, what is your biggest pet peeve that people haven't done with their rosters?
First of all, Running Baldman's been around for a long time. So
RBM, he's
yes, yes. We are familiar with each other. What's the most common thing I see? It's obviously mods. Nobody. When you look at my mod spreadsheet, and I've got an image posted on my Discord for people to compare their mods to, and you can see it on any roster review stream I do. The vast majority of mods are below average. You can just see it. The people aren't working on them at all, and is the thing that leaves people behind more than anything else in the game. Because we talked about Datacrons, but that's kind of something you develop over time, and you may not have enough teams to use it with, but people just aren't farming mods, especially when they bought a bunch of Lightspeed bundles. They bought a Jabba bundle, they bought a couple C bundles, they bought the Kylo bundle, and they're working on that stuff, but they haven't touched their mods at all. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can do fine if you're just collecting and you want to pay to collect, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're trying to be competitive and you want to really do well at this game, you got to spend 30 minutes a week just working through your mods. It's not that I've got a free-to-play account with a good mod score at 1.8 million, and I have not refreshed 3 times every day. It's free to play. I just put the work into it, and so that's the thing that I see the most often. What's the most frustrating thing?
Yeah,
the most frustrating thing for me, I will single out one specific thing. When people pay $50 for the Star Killer bundle and then activate him and leave him sitting at purple gear levels for months and months and months and months. And it's like, dude, you spent $50 to buy this guy. If you relic him, you have an automatic Grand Arena team and an automatic TW team. You may not have it maxed out, but you've got, you can find a light side online force user, a dark side. You can find all these characters. And you've already got Palpatine, I guarantee you. And you got Mara Jade because you did it for Star Killer.
Yep.
And you got a Jedi you can throw on there. And you can find an Ufu to throw on there. You pay $50 and you haven't done anything with this character. What in the absolute, what are you doing? And the second thing that kind of drives me, not batty, but it's like, people that buy the finalizer bundle, which the finalizer bundle is 50% of an executor bundle, right? Because you get Houndstooth, you get Darth Vader in the TIE Advanced, you get Cad Bane, you get Boba Fett and Slave One. They bought the finalizer bundle and they've had it forever, and they haven't even started farming executor. It's like, well, what do what are we looking at here? What are we?
It makes no sense, right? Like you just
right.
I full disclosure, I bought both Starkiller and I bought Afra, and I sort of was like, oh yeah, I spent the money on this. I gotta force myself to do this, and I did it. And I was like, Starkiller's garbage. He's not doing anything. And then everybody in my chat's like, just put the Ami on him. You'll see. And I put the Ami on. Holy moly.
Yeah.
That is absolutely required. He's pretty useless without that Ami for Grand Arena.
So after saying all that, I will tell you, I have not activated Afra yet. Now, Afra's not as good as Starkiller, so that's number one. Number two is I don't have any Zetas and Omicrons to apply to her and her team anyway. Like, I guess I could prioritize it, but I still need to I just finished Sith Eternal. I'm going after Leviathan now. I got to get Jedi Master Kenobi and Lord Vader. I'll have all that done in the next 3 to 4 months. Like, do I squeeze Afra in the middle there and cost myself a couple weeks of Zeta? I don't think so, but I'll get her eventually.
She doesn't really have the definitive. She's a Datacron dependent character, right?
Yeah. Generally speaking, I know a couple people that use her to counter Jabba pretty successfully, but I think they've got it really worked out where they know the exact mods, and you'd have to really heavily invest the mods on her there too. And I don't have the mods to heavily invest in her either, which is true for most people that are buying Lightspeed bundles and advancing quickly. You're not going to have all the mods for your deepest teams, and you're not going to have all the Zetas and Omicrons that you need. You got to be picky about that and where you apply.
That's the number one thing about coming back that I have to tell people is like, yeah, the Lightspeed bundles have put me in position. They've got me. They supercharged my account, and they're the ultimate catch-up mechanic. But the mods, I have like Garbo mods going on, like good teams, and it's like, this is bad. Like to your point, like you're so far behind in that game for people that have been playing for years and we're focusing on mods. It's like, it's troublesome for sure. All right. A reminder to listeners, if you'd like to submit a community mail question, swing on by the Hall Discord and drop a question in the channel titled Community Mailbag. I'll be selecting my favorite question from that channel each week. So please do participate. Big shout out to RBM and Reiki P for the questions. I asked the opening question from Reiki P. All right. We are getting to our last little segment here. It is called Maximum Firepower, where we put Nooch on the hot seat and test his mental limits. First, I'll give him 5 SWGOH or Star Wars topics, and our guest will respond with a short answer that best describes it. We're looking for rapid fire on this one, Nooch, so the first thing that comes to mind. Next, we will force our guest to get controversial and finish a sentence that I've started. Lastly, our guest will have 1 minute to guess a randomly selected character by asking me a series of yes or no questions. And you can't have the game up, so hands in the air, sir. Okay. So we're going to split all those up, so don't feel like it's all coming right at you just quite yet. But I do have one question for you, Nooch. Are you ready?
Yes.
Target, maximum firepower.
Short response, number 1, JML in lore.
They blew it.
They blew it. They blew it.
They blew it.
Okay. Number 2, Andor Season 2.
Can't wait.
Number 3, an in-game ship that everyone sleeps on.
Oh my God.
He's grumbling. He's folding under the pressure.
I've folded. I've officially folded. People aren't finishing punishing when they're letting sit there at 3 to 5 stars.
I'm finishing my punishing one. Okay.
People aren't though.
Number 4, an in-lore ship that everyone sleeps on.
A-Wings.
A-Wings, baby. We're still waiting for one. Number 5, your favorite Star Wars quote.
I'm your father. I can't.
He's a dad. He's a dad. He said that no less than 5,000 times.
It blew up my world in 1981, man.
Yeah. All right. So short response, JML and Laura, you said they blew it. I couldn't agree more. Man, they waited too long, I think. They waited too long, and there was no cohesive story.
There's no reason not to put all those characters on screen together in the first movie.
Yep.
And then do what you want.
They blew
Start killing them off, whatever, but get them all together.
Yep. Andor Season 2, can't wait. I am making a Luthen intro right now and watching a lot of the Luthen clips. I can't wait. So I'm excited for it.
It was so good. It just continued the Rogue One idea. Rogue One it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
An in-game ship everyone sleeps on. You said P1. Absolutely finishing my P1. I know it can do work. I'm in the middle of my executor farm though, so they should be done about the same time. Yeah, it's a good ship.
It wasn't a good answer, but I mean, I do see a lot of rosters, and almost every roster, almost nobody has it at 7 stars, and you've had time by now to get it to 7 stars for most people.
Got it. In-lore ship that everyone sleeps on. A-Wing. Did you ever play X-Wing versus TIE Fighter?
I played a little bit back in the day. I did play a lot of Rogue Squadron back in the day.
It's great, dude. A-Wing, one of the fastest ships for the Rebel Alliance. Was my favorite as a kid. I've moved on to the B-Wing and X-Wing now. I think those are my favorite now.
Yeah, I played with A-Wings in, you used them in Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds.
Yeah,
I believe you can make A-Wings.
Yep.
And then they also had them in Star Wars Rebellion. That's where I remember using A-Wings in the game.
Absolutely. Great ship. Your favorite Star Wars quote, you said, "I am your father." I would have also accepted "do or do not. There is no try." So many great quotes. But yeah. Good
for
stuff.
me as a kid, going to see that movie with my dad, it still is a meaningful event for me in my life. And I remember telling my dad afterwards, I didn't believe that he was his dad. My dad's like, I think he is. I don't think that's not what's going on here.
Make that up, man.
So it's still the greatest twist in movie history, and there are a lot of great twists, but nobody saw it coming, including everybody that made the movie except for Mark Hamill and George Lucas and Irvin Kershner and James Earl Jones. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned like how you remember it, and I tell everybody I think I'm a few years your junior, but I tell everybody that I vividly remember walking out of Return of the Jedi. I was 4 years old, and I can remember just being like, my life just changed. To like, I vividly just like remember like the aisle lighting and just being like, what the hell? Like, this was amazing.
Yeah, for me, it was seeing the original Star Wars at the drive-in when I was 5. I mean, everything changed. I still remember a lot of that experience, one of the earliest experiences I remember, and it turned me on to movies and Star Wars all at the same time. And it's just, that was 1977, and I've been on it ever since.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, we're going to get controversial for a minute. I'm going to read a statement, and you're going to finish the sentence here. If I was Capital Games, the first change I would make to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes would be ...
You either got to fix Grand Arena or give us a real PvP player mode, or you can open up Grand Arena where you can play anybody we want to. I mean, that'd be a lot of fun. You match up against whoever you
break your own brackets. Do like an invitational.
So you don't even have to do that. If you let everybody play whoever they want, your guild could put together the brackets. I mean, you would have people designing brackets on the side and putting them together and playing people off. And if they allowed us or put brackets, just give us something where we can play against each other on a field of our, a playing field of our choosing. Because I don't think they're going to change the way Grand Arena works, because they want to incentivize building your roster up. And it really sucks for new players to come in. Now, they open up Grand Arena in 2 weeks now. It only takes 2 weeks to get to level 85. That's a massive improvement in the game in the last 6 months. But when your first round of Grand Arena, your second round of Grand Arena, and you're sitting there and you've got a $1.2 million Galactic Power roster, and the other roster is $8 million with 5 Galactic Legends, and you look at it and go, wait, what? What's happening? It's really demoralizing, and it sucks the fun out of that game. And I think that they should just fix that and just change it, or give us something we can do that's different.
Yeah, I think that a real PvP mode. What they could do is do a Grand Arena on the off week that's invite only, or like you can there's no rewards associated with it. They have the existing infrastructure. That would be great, and that gives you something to do in the off week if that's what you want to do. But
and imagine as content creators, you could play viewers. You could have viewers come on and play on stream. It'd be a blast.
It would be a blast. I love the idea of playing viewers too as a stream. This man's thinking big time. I love it. All right, last thing here. It's Guess the Holotable Hero. Nooch, I'm going to give you a hint on what you want to do here. You want to guess tags and you want to guess like factions and that sort of thing when we're playing this. It's
I don't
not.
like hints. Let's go.
What's that?
I don't like hints. Let's go.
Okay. Let me get the
Sorry.
stopwatch pulled up here. All right, you have 1 minute to guess the hero.
All right.
On your marks, get set, go.
Light side.
Yes.
Okay. Jedi.
No.
Rebel.
Yes.
Human.
Yes.
Okay. So OT.
No. No.
Rebel, not OT. Male.
Yes.
Okay. Cassian.
No.
It's a human.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you mentioned oh God. What's his name from Andor?
Think class type.
Think class type? Support.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm thinking of Luthen.
No. 15 seconds.
Human support, rebel, OT. Not OT, right?
Not OT.
You this or how about Bodhi Rook?
No. Time. You are very close right now. So it is a light side character. It is a support. It is a rebel. It's not OT, but I will give you a hint. It's Rogue One era.
Yeah, that's why that's where I was going with that, because I don't think there's a lot of rebels that there aren't any rebels that aren't OT except for Rogue One. So I went, you're going with Chase, so Chirrut or Baze.
It's a support.
Support. See?
Final guess.
Human? No, the Scarif is a tank.
This one's tough.
Who else? What about Admiral Raddus? Is he a support?
It is not Admiral Raddus.
Not a human.
It is Saw Gerrera.
Okay. Yeah, I was never going to get it.
No, you were right there. You said Luthen. Luthen Saw been on screen. You were right there. Oh, it's tough. I know how hard it is when you don't have the game pulled up. It's like.
Well, good job, man. You got it. That was a good question. I like that. That was fun.
All right.
I got all happy and I failed.
All right, everybody. Well, I want to thank my guest. He is Nooch Too Good. He is the Star Wars dad. Nooch, you got any plugs for us?
Not really. Come over, join the channel. We always have fun streaming. We do lots of different things. We're doing a lot of, well, I said not really. I guess I do a plug. We're doing right now I'm going through 1,220 free roster reviews that people signed up for. I'm getting them all done by February. That's the goal. So they're all quick hit reviews that we're running through for 1,224 people. We're also doing a lot of min-maxing here in the coming months, so just trying events in the game at lower level characters. So just having a lot of fun doing some different things in the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, good stuff, brother, and thank you for joining me. It was a great conversation. You can catch me on Twitch 4 times a week with Performance GAC on Friday nights. It's the ultimate Grand Arena party. The Hall Alliance is always recruiting, so let me know if you need a guild. Follow me on X or come slum it in that scriff hole, better known as the Hall Discord. I'm around, you can find me. And that wraps us up this week, manifesting you all health, happiness, and the most potent drop rates possible. Get to your ship safely, and I'll see you out on them Holotables. Good night, everyone.
If you enjoyed this episode of Love on the Holotables, be sure to show your support by liking this content and leaving a comment wherever you get your podcasts. Also, consider joining the best Star Wars community at discord.gg/UrzZz or attending a Hall livestream at twitch.tv/UrzZz. Thank you, and remember, the Force will be with you always.